Welcome to Cineights, where you get to know the best movies and series. Today's video is about the best movies of James Cameron. Be sure to watch until the end because I'm sure you will like it. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Piranha 2: The Spawning, 1981. There are a great many reasons why Piranha 2: The Spawning is at the bottom of our list. For example, on top of the movie's very poor quality, EW's critic pointed out that this is a movie from which Cameron was fired before completion. This poses a unique challenge of determining which of the multitudinous mistakes of this movie were due to James Cameron. There is not much plot in this particular film. It's all about a special killer piranha that can fly. And it's up to a reluctant police officer played by Lance Henriksen to foil these fatal fishy plans and save the town, including his own wife and son. Ultimately, though, Piranha 2 is a movie that doesn't know what it wants to do or be. It tries to be playfully erotic, but the nudity and light sprinkling of sex are simply crass and, at times, baffling. Ghosts of the Abyss, 2003. It's a testament to James Cameron's clout that Ghosts of the Abyss was more than a Titanic documentary. On the heels of his immensely successful Titanic, this documentary became a relatively successful theatrical release in its own right. However, as EW's critic originally noted, the film is a logistical footnote to his great, primal, heart-of-the-ocean blockbuster. Furthermore, Ghosts' journey's magic is hemmed in, paradoxically, by the transcendence of his previous effort. That's the rub. For as visually stunning as this dive into the actual RMS Titanic is, everyone knows that it's playing off the immense success of Cameron's jaw-dropping cinematic feast. That blockbuster movie was a dazzling meal. This documentary is the equivalent of heating up leftovers the next day. Aliens of the Deep, 2005. When Aliens of the Deep came out, it was easy to be cynical about the documentary's title playing on the success of Cameron's early hit film Aliens. After all, what did another return to the depths of the ocean have to do with alien life on other planets? However, as EW's critic pointed out, an attractive, articulate cast of young marine biologists and NASA researchers convey the excitement of exploration and research and describe their work to land-based viewers wearing goofy 3D glasses. They may do more for the future of astrobiology than the sight of a billion far-out shrimp swarming a seabed volcanic chimney. That's the stealth beauty of this documentary. In Aliens of the Deep, Cameron isn't so much interested in telling a brand new story as he is in geeking out about his interests. Avatar: The Way of Water, 2022. It's hard to argue that Avatar: The Way of Water, the highly anticipated follow-up to 2009's Avatar, is a cinematic feast for the eyes. Cameron and company somehow managed to outdo the stunning effects of the original, with photorealistic water sequences that must be seen to be believed. He also takes more time to develop the characters of Pandora, widely regarded as a weakness of the first Avatar, to make us care more about Jake Sully, Neytiri, and their growing family as they face further existential threats. At the same time, the freshness of the original gives it a slight edge over The Way of Water, which can sometimes feel like a rehash with the same square-jawed villain and the same general conflict, just transported from the forests of Pandora to the water. Avatar, 2009. With the bevy of new and upcoming sequels, it seems that James Cameron has gone all in on Avatar mania. Unfortunately, rewatching the original 2009 film in the context of Cameron's other classics reveals some flaws that were once hidden by all of that majestic CGI. In his own rewatch, EW's Darren Franich accurately calls the movie out for its sparkly strange pessimism. When you're used to the fierce optimism of Cameron, a story where the happy ending involves abandoning humanity to their ruined world lands with a practically audible clang. As usual, Cameron populates his cinematic world with great actors. Get a career-best performance out of Sam Worthington, a soldier who assimilates with the blue-skinned and Avi, especially the mysterious and exotic Neytiri. Stephen Lang, meanwhile, plays a muscular, narrow-minded evil military man, and Sigourney Weaver takes on the role of a scientist who helps humans inhabit the titular avatars to interact with this alien species. True Lies, 1994. Let's rip this band-aid off right away. True Lies is a very fun movie, but it has aged more poorly than you might imagine. As Nizat Hajari, Pat H. Broski, and Ann Thompson wrote back in 1994, the movie was already credibly accused of racism when it came out due to its cartoonish depiction of fanatical, kafia-clad Arab terrorists. And it's true, this movie is so absurdly anti-Islamic that you'd be forgiven for thinking it came out in the wake of post-9/11 hysteria rather than preceding the tragic attack by a cool 7 years. Cameron himself insists that these were just convenient, generic bad guys for Arnold Schwarzenegger's secret agent character to mow down by the dozens. Unfortunately, the other albatross around this movie's neck is baked into the script. We are meant to be charmed by the plot of a character played by Jamie Lee Curtis being bored by her milquetoast, traveling salesman, husband and fooling around with Bill Paxton's character until she discovers her husband is actually a thriller super spy. The Abyss, 1989. It's fun to dive back into The Abyss and see how this movie helped James Cameron grow as an artist. On one hand, it's Cameron doing what he did before in Alien. As EW's critic wrote, Cameron again delves into the dynamics of a close-knit group united to perform near-impossible tasks. However, this tale of a reluctant blue-collar crew sent to rescue Navy sailors who must deal with both intercepted nukes, and underwater aliens shows how much Cameron has learned about humanizing his characters. For example, as much as we love aliens, the marine characters are mostly cocky action figures who get to do little more than spout memorable lines before they get massacred by monstrous aliens. In his narrative for The Abyss, however, Cameron takes a more mature and measured approach to both the humans and the aliens. Humans, specifically, have an intimate bond that is instantly relatable. The Terminator 1984. There has been a critical tendency to examine the Terminator as a spiritual follow-up to Cameron's Xenogenesis. And certainly, there are surface similarities. As with Xenogenesis, Terminator's characters include a strong female lead, a man trying to save humanity, and a killer robot. However, the Terminator does everything that much better, and this longer film helped establish James Cameron as a serious action director even as it showcased how ambitious science fiction movies could be. Cameron himself is the first to admit that this movie was a culmination of different things he had been thinking about for a long time. As Cameron said in Joe McGovern's excellent oral history of the film, the Terminator themes had been important to me since high school. Those apocalyptic visions, ideas about our love-hate relationship with technology, our tendency as a species to move in a direction that might ultimately destroy us, and a central faith in the resourcefulness of humanity. Aliens 1986. Among horror and sci-fi fans, there is an endless debate: is Alien or Aliens the better movie? In reality, the debate is moot because these are entirely different kinds of films. In the original, Ridley Scott delighted in bringing subtle, creeping horror to what was, essentially, a haunted house in space story. However, in Aliens, as EW's critic pointed out, subtlety went out the window. Crucially, though, while Aliens has less on its mind than the original, it's arguably more fun. And fun is the perfect description for a film that brings Sigourney Weaver back and sends her into the slimy nest of aliens in the company of some hardcore space marines. Titanic 1997. Titanic is one of those rare movies that achieved a nearly mythic status almost immediately upon its release. Much of this is largely due to Cameron's painstaking recreation of the titular ship. As EW's critic wrote, the Titanic itself becomes a kind of floating version of the 19th century. Once it hits that iceberg, we are suffused with a cathartic tumult of emotion. And, in doing so, Cameron has restaged the defining catastrophe of the early 20th century on a human scale of such purified yearning and dread that he touches the deepest levels of popular movie making. What hit viewers, then and now, with the strength of an unmerciful iceberg is how entirely uncynical this movie is. A movie where impending tragedy hangs over everyone like an icy sword of Damocles. It's impossible not to get caught up in the explosive romance between Jack and Rose and their optimism about the future. Terminator 2 Judgment Day 1991. Perhaps the greatest compliment we can pay to Terminator 2 Judgment Day is that the special effects still hold up in a big way. Back when he first reviewed this ambitious sequel, EW's critic noted how the transformation effects of the villainous, liquid metal T-1000 played by Robert Patrick are spectacular, in part because there's real magic to them, a sense of technological wonder. Now, decades later, those effects hold up much better than, say, the all-CGI battle between armies at the end of Star Wars Episode 1.